From giving life to the ballet dancers we last saw in John Wick Parabellum, to the addition of Keanu Reeves's iconic character to the film, this is everything you need to know about the John Wick spin-off Ballerina. Can you believe how the John Wick franchise evolved from a simple revenge flick to a mind-blowing saga of international intrigue? It's wild, right? But hold on to your popcorn because I've got some epic news for you today, as the masterminds of action are taking it to the next level with this upcoming spin-off film. Now, if you thought the Wick films were all about a dude seeking vengeance for his dog, think again, because the series grew with each installment becoming more and more complex with the introduction of things like shadow governments and assassin families. And now they're expanding the universe even further with Ballerina. I mean, seriously, how cool is that? Plus, guess what? The cameras are already rolling. That's right, Ballerina has officially started filming, and it's shaping up to be an action-packed extravaganza. But wait, there's more, because the late Lance Reddick will also be making a special appearance in the film, which, I don't know about you, but just amps up my anticipation to the max. Now let's talk about the star of the show, the badass action queen herself, Ana de Armas. She's going to be front and center, taking on the role of the film's titular character, and I can already imagine the intensity and grace she's going to bring to the screen. The film itself will delve deep into the story of highly trained ballet dancers, the ones we saw in John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. You remember them, right? Those disciplined killers who were removing each other's toenails without even batting an eye, working under the control of Anjelica Huston's character? Well, this film plans to lift the curtain on their lives, their sacrifices, and the lethal world they've entered as professional assassins. Plus, while we can expect to see familiar faces from the Wick franchise, Ballerina is set to be a whole new breed of awesomeness, being an entirely original take on the Wickverse. It'll expand the narrative beyond Keanu Reeves' iconic character, giving us a fresh perspective on these extraordinary dancers turned killers. I can hardly imagine the jaw-dropping action sequences and the thrilling storylines that await us, especially with how the directors are going to be mixing the art of dancing into the action sequences. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm already clearing my schedule and counting down the days until the film hits the big screen because it's definitely going to be a cinematic experience you don't want to miss. Now that I've got that covered though, let's move on to the questions. When and where can we watch it? Now, since the film is still in production, we're probably going to have to wait a little longer before we get our hands on a full-blown trailer. I know, the anticipation is killing me too, but you know what they say, good things come to those who wait. Still, since trailers are typically released after a film wraps up production, it's safe to say that we'll have to hold our horses until the cameras stop rolling on Ballerina, though there might be a chance that we get a sneak peek at some of them upcoming conventions. For the release date itself, the film's set to grace the silver screen on June 7th, 2024, which is just around the corner, and with less than a year to go, it's highly likely that the trailer will drop within the next month or so. When it comes to the release itself, the film will most likely follow in the footsteps of its predecessors and hit the big screens, which I'll argue is the best way to watch a film like this. I mean, there's something special about watching heart-pounding action sequences on the big screen, am I right? Though I must admit, there's always a slim chance that the film might take a detour and become a streaming release, in which case, there's still no need to panic. After all, Lionsgate, the owner of the franchise, doesn't have any deals with major streaming platforms. So if Ballerina were to go the streaming route, it's anyone's guess where it would go. But who's gonna be in the film? You know the Wick franchise never disappoints when it comes to assembling top-tier Hollywood celebrities. And this spin-off is no exception, because we've got some serious star power coming your way. As mentioned earlier, we have Ana de Armas taking the lead. You might recognize her from performances in films like Knives Out and Blade Runner 2049. But this isn't the first time she's taken on an action role, showing off her skills in the James Bond installment No Time to Die and the Russo brothers project, The Gray Man. There are also a bunch of familiar faces making a comeback in the film as well. Most obvious of all, Keanu Reeves himself, strapping on his suit as the legendary John Wick. And we can't forget about the enigmatic Winston, the owner of the Continental, played by Ian McShane. Anjelica Huston will also be gracing the screen once more as the director, bringing her captivating presence to the mix. which isn't surprising since she pretty much runs the ballet business. In a bittersweet addition, despite his untimely passing back in March of 2023, the late Lance Reddick will also reprise his role as Charon, most likely as a tribute to his incredible talent and the mark he left on the franchise. But it's not just old blood who are coming back for more wickedness, as there are also some fresh faces joining the cast. Norman Reedus, who you may recognize as Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead, is set to make his mark in the film. We've also got Abraham Popoola stepping into the shoes of a character named Frank, who you might have seen in projects like The Great, Cruella, and Andor. Keep your eyes peeled for character actor Mark Cram as well, who will be taking on the role of the concierge. But wait, there's more. We've also got a lineup of incredible performers with no confirmed roles to look forward to. We're talking about Catalina Sandino Moreno, known for her mesmerizing performance in Maria Full of Grace. Anne Perello, who left a lasting impression in The Man in the Iron Mask. Caleb Spilliards, a Marvel stuntman who knows how to bring the action. And let's not forget Gabriel Byrne from the classic thriller film, The Usual Suspects. On the production side of things, though, there's a bit of a switch-up. Now, as some of you may know, Chad Stahelski, the mastermind behind the main Wick franchise, was busy working on John Wick, Chapter 4 and Chapter 5. And let's not forget, he's also got his hands full with the highly anticipated Highlander remake, as well as the Ghosts of Tsushima adaptation project. That's a lot on his plate. So, for the spin-off, directing duties have been passed on to a fresh face, Len Wiseman, who's previously directed the first two Underworld films. I know some of you may be worried about a Wick film without Stahelski, but don't worry, we've still got the same writers who worked on the previous main films, so don't worry about the film being too different for your tastes. With all that out of the way though, let's talk plot. Way back in 2017, Hatton had already penned a screenplay about an assassin ballerina, and now he's the brilliant mind behind films like John Wick, Chapter 4, and Day Shift. Pretty cool, right? This means that while I don't have all the deets just yet, you can guess what's in store based on what we know so far. Remember John Wick, Chapter 3, where our beloved assassin found himself working alongside a fierce and no-nonsense crime boss, known only as the Director. She was in charge of training and caring for a group of young, orphaned women who weren't only learning the deadly art of assassination, but also indulging in the occasional dance routines. In Hatton's original script, our protagonist was an orphaned girl raised by a top-secret government agency, groomed to become a lethal killer. But when her story merged with the Wickverse, she found herself working under the Director. And this is where the narrative comes into play, with our protagonist going on a quest to find the individuals responsible for the death of her family. Here's where things get even more interesting though, as the ballerina in question isn't your run-of-the-mill assassin. Nope, she's a total rogue, taking matters into her own hands and eliminating anyone she believes deserves it. And along her path of revenge, she'll be going up against an entire organization that played a role in her family's tragedy. And here's the juicy part, folks. Because despite the inclusion of Reeves, we still don't know the exact role he'll be playing in the story. Will he be an ally, a formidable foe, or perhaps a mentor figure for our lethal heroine? Only time will tell. So, from the addition of Keanu Reeves's iconic character to the film, to giving life to the ballet dancers we last saw in John Wick, Parabellum, this was everything you need to know about the John Wick spin-off, Ballerina.